But from a fantasy perspective, they're awful.
Yeah, it's the worst.
Absolutely awful, Patriots. I'm talking to you.
The worst.
I mean, let's just start with the run game here. Peter took us through all the additions and the very few people who left. But let's look at the guy who left. It's LeGarrette Blount, right? This is the guy who said, I'm going to prove Kay wrong. The guy who I didn't think could be consistent, and he ends up last year a total anomaly, finishing top 10. He had 1 trillion touchdowns. But that was weird. You guys have to understand out there that that's not going to be the case this season. This season's Patriots backfield isn't even, it's not a committee. It is like a small army, a nation state of viable running backs ready to crush fantasy owners' dreams. They added a Gillislee to presumably take over for Blount, right? So the carries, the touchdown potential should give him the most volume. So to me, that's the safest option. He's going around round 7, I imagine, for those touchdowns. Kyle's cringing.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to lose. You need to spend that 7th round pick on a receiver because you're going to start Gillislee, and then Burkhead's going to go crazy. You know how this goes. I go back years with this.
But look at the touchdowns, and it's a high-scoring, dangerous offense. You think if he's the guy, the power guy, the LeGarrette Blount situation, that could be nice.
Just guessing.
What about this guy? Remember this guy? Everybody thought Deion Lewis was going to be the fantasy stud a year ago. He never played a full season in his career, scored 0 touchdowns last year when everybody drafted him early, and he was totally outshined by James White. Now, James White's the running back that got the 3-year extension. White balled out last year and had to have earned the trust of the squad, given the 14 catches in the Super Bowl over the Falcons. Nobody talks about that, and nobody cares about it, apparently, with his current ADP. He's going rounds 9 or 10 after guys like Terrence West in Baltimore and Jamal Williams, Packers rookie.
Big Jamal.
I'm taking James White. So James White, to me, is the value. You think Gillislee, maybe White, those are the value plays. But do you really draft them when then they go out and add Rex Burkhead? Did that make any sense? When you think you have it sort of figured out? I've talked about him on the show before he was signed, when he was a free agent. He was a monster when given the opportunity last year. He can do it all. He's a dual threat. He can cut into James White's fantasy value and into Gillislee. So you don't know. These guys are all going to go off, and they're all going to flop. And that's how Bill Belichick wants it. It's a fantasy migraine. Try to avoid it until round 8-ish. Don't get me started on the receivers. You have your Edelman, but now you've got Brandon Cooks in the mix.
I'm a guy who's had Ridley, who's had Vereen, who's had Blount.
No.
I've had them all.
Maroney.
Don't go.